Welcome to the Bamgboshe Happy Hour. I am Peju Bamgboshe Roethlisberger.
Hi everyone, and I'm Naomi Bamgboshe.
And this is the Bamgboshe Happy Hour film and TV edition. How are you, Ma?
What's up? Wonderful, sweetie. On this glorious Memorial Day weekend, I'm having a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Lovely entertainment, food, cocktails. Everything is wonderful. Great sports on TV. Great weekend, sweetie. How about you?
I am, feeling very fortunate as always, thankful and grateful. And we had a good weekend. We went to see a lovely movie. We'll talk about that later on, and also had a pretty good dinner. So before we get into that, we always like to start our toast, and today we are airing on Memorial Day as opposed to our normal Sundays. So Ma, let's do a special toast for Memorial Day, and in honor of those who fought and sacrificed themselves for the country.
Absolutely. Our eternal gratitude for all those who sacrificed their lives, their time, their families, just everything, for our quality of life, our way of life. We'd like to say we appreciate and we honor you on this Memorial Day. Continued long life, health, wealth, and prosperity. Salud.
Salud. Woo. All right. So let's get things started off with sports as always. The Knicks had me mad for a couple of days, but they decided that they meant business, and they came back from a 20-point deficit to pull out a win against the Indiana Pacers. Now, of course, Cat, aka Karl Anthony Towns, had probably the best game of his playoff career this season. He scored 20 of his 24 points in the fourth quarter, which obviously, yes, helped lift the Knicks.
They closed that deficit.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And Josh Hart had a key rebound in the final minute that helped seal the win.
Okay.
So now, instead of going down 0-3, it's now 2-1. So
Okay.
we go to game 4, all set for Tuesday.
Okay.
Any thoughts on that, Ma, before I go into the next game?
You know what? Good luck, guys. That's my thought. Good luck, guys. I admire your fortitude. I'm so happy for you. And remember, guys, I don't want to show a bias, but I have got to say, don't forget, you've already beat the best. Statistically, right? Mm-hmm. That's the Celtics, correct? You've already beat the best. So, what do you think you can do
At
with
least
the
in
rest?
the East Coast.
Well,
Yeah.
statistically, overall.
And the reigning champions.
Right,
Yeah.
okay? You've already beat the reigning champions, okay? Let's not say the best. Let's say the reigning champions, because who's the best could change at any moment. We understand that, okay? Let's say the reigning champions. And so I want to say to you guys, you really should be full of confidence. Because it is true. You can do it. That's all I want to say. Okay.
The other two remaining teams, which are the Timberwolves and Oklahoma City Thunder, it looked as though the Thunder were going to just completely demolish and run over Minnesota after the first two games, but then something happened, and Minnesota beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 143-101. It just didn't make any sense. Anthony Edwards only played 3 quarters. They set him down. He got 30 points and 9 rebounds and 6 assists. They were up by so much. And so now it is a series. It's 2-1. They actually play later on today, so we probably will catch some of that game.
Okay.
So let's see.
Oh, wonderful. You know what, guys? Like I said, I don't mean to show a bias, but I always have a tendency to root for the underdog. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened. Wait a minute. Daughter, did we mention what happened? Did you mention what happened with Coco Gauff and Jasmine Piolini? Coco just disappeared in that last match.
Oh gosh, I forgot all about that tournament. We're on to the French Open.
I guess you did forget it. It was not the French Open.
No, I know, but we're on to the French Open now.
We are on but we're going into the French Open. I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
And listen, I was rooting for both of them.
Right.
I'm happy for either young lady. It's just wonderful. But Coco just seemed to disappear. And you reminded me of it when you mentioned this last game.
Yeah.
You know, and it like, what happened? It was a 40-point deficit, right?
Right.
Oh, boy. So, okay. So they're making sports very exciting for us because we never know.
Yeah, we really don't know. But, you know, speaking of Coco, the French Open is underway. And we had a couple of major upsets. We had Taylor Fritz, who is the number 4 American male seed. He lost in the first round to Germany's Daniel Altmaier in 4 sets. We don't even know what was going on with Taylor, but he was not playing up to his standards. Emma Navarro, who is the number 9 seed, also lost in the first round. She lost 6-1 to 6-love. We don't know. Maybe she was not feeling well. Naomi Osaka wasn't really much of an upset, but she was eliminated by the number 10 Paula Badoza in 3 sets. Naomi was playing well the first set, but the second...
She won the first set, then she went and clipped her fingernails for some reason. Now, she won without clipping them. Clearly, she's been practicing with those fingernails for some reason. I don't know if she was just jittery or if it was nerve. She didn't bite her fingernails. She clipped them off and threw them away and went back. And I don't know why she changed, because she was winning.
Well, you know,
I guess it was nerves.
I really don't want to say too much, except I am going to say, you know, I hope that she is, you know, getting the help that she needs, because Naomi Osaka has not been the same since we know she had, you know, the mental health, I don't want to say like breakdown, but mental health lapse. And she just hasn't been the same. At one point, she was the best player, female player in the world. Yeah. And now it's painful to watch her play. Right. So I'm hoping that, you know, she can come back. But let's see how she does.
But guess what? There's an old saying, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And guess what? It really is true. It's more important that she tend to her mental health than worry about tennis. And that's the truth. Because your tennis life or your sports career is basically relatively short-lived. Right. You know, you live a lot longer, and there are a lot more important things in life. And if she's been careful with her money, she's a wealthy young woman.
She I'm sure she has plenty of money still, you know. So has all type of endorsements.
Yeah,
so she should be.
So in any event,
but you gotta take care of your mental health, and physical.
I think it's most important that she take care of Naomi right now, and whatever that's going to be, you know.
Okay, and so moving on, you know, a few bright spots. Tommy Paul, number 12, is still in. Blake Shelton, number 13, is still in. Okay. Sebastian Korda, all advanced. And Madison Keys has not played yet. Neither has Coco Gauff or Jessica Pegula. So
are they playing today? Tomorrow?
They may be playing today.
Mixture.
I'm not. Something like that. So we'll see. How's Tiafoe? I didn't get that info from Tiafoe.
Tiafoe won the last match.
Okay, so
he was expected to win. So he
normally the first round. Mm-hmm. Hey,
you're right. Sometimes they don't meet expectations.
Right. Okay, so moving on. That is pretty much it for our sports update for today. I think we covered pretty much everything that's popular going on right now. So we can move on to a couple of pop updates before we get into our actual film and television. So Mr. Kid Cudi testified about a couple days ago, and Kid Cudi, his name is Scott Mascotti. That is his government name, and he had some interesting things to say. He appeared in court on Thursday dressed in jeans and a leather jacket, appearing pretty calm despite, you know, some pretty tense circumstances. He testified about his short-lived relationship with Cassie, and he said it abruptly ended after Combs discovered their involvement in December of 2011. Now, Combs found out that Cuddy received a frantic early morning call from Cassie, who sounded nervous and scared. Later that day, Capricorn Clark, a friend of Cassie and Combs' employee, called to inform Cuddy that Combs had broken into Kid Cudi's home. Now, we heard, you heard what I said.
Don't you mean he entered? He didn't break in.
No, he broke in because nobody was home, and he broke in. He wasn't invited. He opens all of the Christmas gifts.
So is the allegation.
Alleged.
Okay.
It's alleged. And
right.
This is what Cuddy is saying.
Yeah.
Cuddy is alleging that Diddy broke into his home. Okay, we want to say everything is alleged, guys. Diddy broke into his home, opened all of the Christmas gifts, including some Chanel gifts, and also locked Cuddy's dog in the bathroom. And Cuddy was, not happy. He says, "You broke into my house and you messed with my dog." So I don't know what that was all about. Then the car bombing incident that allegedly happened in January 9th of 2012, things escalated when someone, allegedly we think it was Diddy, threw a Molotov cocktail into Cuddy's Porsche, burning the interior. Cuddy testified he called Combs, suspecting him. They met at a private club where Combs allegedly stood like a Marvel supervillain, hands behind his back, staring out a window. Combs denied involvement with the car, and Cuddy said he walked away believing that Combs was lying.
Okay.
He also, Kid Cudi also believes that Cassie kind of played both of them at that point, because that Cuddy actually fell in love with her. This is what he says.
Yeah, good.
Who knows? Okay,
good.
There's that.
I have a comment, but go ahead.
If you want to comment on that, I was gonna move on to a couple of other things.
I just want to comment. Like I said, whatever this truth is, whatever happened, whoever did what to whomever. I mean, I'm glad nobody got seriously injured or injured at all in that particular scenario, whether it's true or not or whatever.
Cuddy did call the police.
Yeah, and
No. I'm saying some people are like, oh, he didn't report it. He did report it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just say this to you. That gives a documentation to something that may or may not have happened. And this is what
it did happen. Okay. It did happen. We don't know.
Oh, you mean who did it?
Who did it? But it did happen.
Okay. Well, it did happen.
They have.
I don't know about the rest of the stuff. They have somebody on film. They know. How do they know? They saying that Diddy broke into his house. How do they know that?
I don't.
They know somebody broke in.
I don't think that. No, I don't think
Diddy did it.
Listen, I don't think that Diddy actually may have denied that.
Right. Okay.
He didn't take anything and didn't physically harm the dog.
He didn't go there to rob the house.
Right. He did deny the bombing. Okay. But I don't think he denied.
So let me just say this. If it's not Diddy, if you're talking to a person who's been in a long romance with somebody, forget that it's Diddy. Forget that it's one of the most popular, prominent, powerful people in the industry, okay? Forget that. Wealthiest and everything in the industry and has been out there for years. Everybody knows it, okay? They had a fuss or broke off with their person that they've been with for years, that everybody knows it. And you think you just gonna step in. No time passed. It's not official that it's over. This official thing. It haven't been out there that it's over. And they was recently together, but they, had a fuss. You're not gonna sit back, fall back and give them time to see, is this really over? What's going on here? And that the person, say they not even Diddy, just a regular person.
Well, you know what?
But wait a minute. Now it's Diddy, and he has a reputation for not being an easy personality. Okay? Forget everything else. He's not an easygoing personality, and he gets offended and reacts to things very easily. How you think that this man is going to react, and you stepping in, you didn't let the dust settle to where they're really finished. They may still be trying to work it out.
Okay, I understand it, but it doesn't mean that it's right.
No,
allegedly,
no, it's totally wrong. Wait a minute.
Allegedly,
wait a minute. You're not letting me make my point. Maybe I'm taking too long to make it. Here's my point. Kid Cudi, you knew what you were doing. You knew what you was doing when you got involved with Cassie. You knew what you was doing.
So you're gonna blame Kid Cudi?
Nope. Well, yes, I am. Yes, I am gonna blame him because that means he was willing to assume the vis. That's not a he knew
That's
he was
not
going,
nice,
he knew
Mom.
he was going to have trouble with Diddy if the relationship wasn't completely over. He should have given it a little bit of time.
Just as a heads up, at that point they hadn't been together all the years that they wound up being together. Just so you understand that. At this point, this was many years ago.
Okay, listen, I understand it was years ago, but I understand that he didn't give it a minute to find out what was up.
Okay.
I understand that. You acting like I'm talking real things that really happen.
I believe
you know, when you assessing things, you look at everything. You just don't, oh, this shouldn't have happened. It's not what should or shouldn't have happened. It's what was likely to happen. You know, hey, you may get behind the wheel of a car drunk driving and get home and make it safe. Okay, but you shouldn't have done it. It shouldn't have happened. You knew you was assuming a risk. It should have never happened. You made out okay, but that was just fortuitous, you know?
Right.
That's not a good decision that you made.
Well, no one said it was necessarily a good decision. Something that people also wanted to put out there, and the Kid Cudi, Scott Muscati, is not from the streets. So he is
I don't care
not
where he's
about
from.
that life.
The street, you didn't have to be from nothing but life. You know who Diddy was.
Some people don't have street smarts.
No, that's not street. That's survival skills. That's self-preservation. That's not street. You think Warren Buffett wouldn't have known better than that?
Well, some people are also more intelligent than others.
Right. Call it what it is. It was a stupid thing that he did. It was a stupid thing.
I don't like victim. I don't like for you to blame the victim, the alleged victim.
To me, he ain't no victim. To me, he was just trying to be out there and be in everything.
What
to
do
me,
you mean be out there? At that point, he was very popular. Nobody was.
Oh, you mean that he's got his car blown up and stuff?
Yeah, like that's not nice.
How do you know that Diddy did that?
We don't know. It's alleged. Everything is alleged.
I don't like that. What I know Diddy did was he violently assaulted Cassie.
I don't like how much you're like defending Diddy.
Because you know why? I'm not that I'm defending Diddy at all. I'm putting out both sides of everything. And the reason I'm doing that, Diddy can do years based on what we saw him do to Cassie. So I don't know what you think I'm defending. And people who went to his party, he didn't put no gun on them.
Come on, we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
I don't know what you're accusing him of.
We have a lot of stuff to talk about. Let me just move on to, so the former assistant, David James, detailed Holmes' travel routine. I don't know why we know about the Heinz ketchup, Jell-O, Mott's applesauce, which he reportedly put on cheeseburgers. He put applesauce. And look, if he likes
that's what he likes. Some people put pineapple. That's fine.
Okay. Triple X vitamin
people
water.
Eat pineapple with pork. Why they can't eat pineapple with beef?
Toiletries, 40 products, including Just for Men, hair dye. Alleged drug use. I'm sure you heard this one. President Obama shaped ecstasy pills. He liked those, did he? This was alleged. Okay.
Ecstasy pills shaped like President Obama. Okay.
And it says when he used to stay
Please,
at a particular...
because, it'll be coming out that President Obama was taking ecstasy pills. Just watch what you say.
I know, watch what I say.
Right.
He had a hotel that they like to stay in Beverly Hills that allegedly there was like to spill candle wax and use excessive oil, and the room required to
spill candle wax on what? We used to put candle wax on bottles. Back when I was a freshman in college.
I don't think this was with bottles, Ma. So the room required
wine bottles.
Deep cleaning after his stays, an extra $1,000 usually. And he normally would want...
He paid for the cleaner staff, right?
The thermostat set
was that illegal?
75. And
not too hot, not too cold.
Stayed sprayed down the hallway.
Kept it nice and fresh and clean.
Ma, I don't like how you're just...
I don't like how you going in on stuff that ain't got nothing to do with a crime.
No, but I'm just...
That ain't got nothing to do with a crime. Those are his sexual preferences.
Okay.
And the way he liked his house.
Okay, Mom.
You pulling in too much extraneous stuff that have nothing to do with criminal.
What was testified.
I understand. Well, he was able to do that. A lot of people would have a nice lavish party if they could afford. Not everybody who would do some of the things, but a lot of people would do the things that you're bringing up.
You're not really taking it serious. So
I'm taking it very seriously.
No, you're not.
I'm on trial. I'm on criminal trial, and you talking about what I like to eat, and you talking about how I clean the spot after we have a party. That's not crime. That's not criminal stuff.
Okay. All right, Ma. Is there anything else that you want to say? Because clearly you just
stay with the criminal part.
Okay. Even with the criminal stuff, you shut it down and you make it seem like it's not. Breaking into someone's house is illegal.
Yes, it is.
Allegedly bombing someone's car.
Allegedly
bombing someone's car is illegal.
Absolutely, you have no business doing that.
Okay, well,
and you have no business.
But it's the person's fault because don't mess with that man's ex.
That's not what I mean. I don't
that
mean
is
that.
What you mean.
I meant he could anticipate that he was going to have problems with this man.
Well.
And he
Kid
took
Cudi
the risk.
also has mental health.
Well, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that he.
No, he really does.
Right.
And he's been suicidal. He has some stuff that he needs to deal with.
Okay.
So
all right. Listen. Good luck to all parties involved. Okay. Go.
Good luck.
Whatever. At least you can wish me luck. What's that song say? At least you can wish me luck.
Anyway, all of this is the testimony against.
I hope Cassie is okay. I hope Cassie, she's raising a family and everything now.
And what about?
Pregnant. I hope Cassie is getting the help she needs.
And what about alleged other female victims?
All of them. I mean, I just know Cassie by name, which is why I'm referring to Cassie. And Cassie, I saw her getting heartbreakingly assaulted. Okay. So I know she needs, to get all the help she can.
Okay, moving on to more happy times. Joey Badass and Saraya are expecting, we know now, a baby boy.
Oh, and, good luck to them. Congratulations.
They've been together for a couple of years.
All
and,
right.
Joey and Saraya met in 2021, and they began dating, I guess, a year later. And he says he was struck by her beauty and her presence. He said he'd never seen a woman so beautiful.
That's wonderful.
Saraya found Joey mysterious and magnetizing, and they're both, described feeling an unspoken connection. Joey has also opened about before he was had the poly lifestyle. He says he is now very much monogamous, and this is where he feels secure. He also recently turned 30 and is focused on creating a strong Black family structure.
Wonderful for him.
And breaking generational curses.
Wonderful. I love that.
And he just said that this is a full transformation and a beautiful one. So
that is so nice.
That's really great.
I love that he spoke those words.
And I would just like to say, this is none of my business. There are some people who may say, you believe in monogamy, you both are doing well, have money, the means, and are about to have a baby. Does that mean you may want to get married?
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
What they decide. Okay. I like where his head is.
I like where his head is. Yes.
Whether they are married or don't or
Doesn't
whatever.
Doesn't he seem so much older than 30? It seems like he's, I don't know.
Well, he seems very mature. What we're getting from him in the universe.
Not in Raising Kanan. Raising Kanan, he seems like he's.
Raising Kanan, he seems more mature to me.
He seems
he seems angry and
he
bad.
Seems immature.
He looks bad. He looks older and he seems in charge, but he seems like he's just making impulsive decisions.
Okay.
Which
because he's not he's not a bad looking guy.
Yeah.
They have him acting so crazy.
Well, they have him looking worse than he is.
Right.
But
good luck to them.
We like to hear that. And in real life, Joey Badass and Saraya.
Yeah.
Good luck to you and your family, and good health. We wish the baby good health and happiness for both of you.
Yeah.
And it's just great.
Just
it's
all
wonderful.
positive vibes.
Right. There you go.
Now, this is a couple that people have criticized, in the short time that we know them. That's Travis Hunter, who is a star pick from the NFL draft, won the Heisman Trophy, was a former player for Dion. Tied the knot this weekend with his fiance Liana Lini, and many people were upset and had a lot of different opinions about Travis Hunter and his now wife. Many people felt that she seemed to not treat him the way you would treat a superstar athlete, and they were just really concerned that he was too young to, go down this direction, getting engaged, but now he's married. And there's rumors, Mom, we don't know if this is true or not, that there's no prenup, and he's 22 years old. What are your thoughts on this?
I hope it works out well for him. That's all I can say. My thought is that he is young. He has a lot to lose, but nobody knows the inside. Nobody knows better than the two of them. Sometimes people are very mature. I'm really, generally they're not, but I'm really less inclined to attribute behaviors to your chronological age than I used to be. Because I've seen so many older men make the most stupid ass mistakes on the planet. And I've seen younger men actually be in a stable relationship. So I'm just going to say good luck. And we don't know what goes on with the two of them. We really don't.
Well, here's my thing.
Other than what we see.
Here's my thing. First of all, good luck. I would rather see him married
than in the streets.
And in a stable relationship than, like you said, for the streets with 10, 20 children by 10, 20 different baby mamas. So I'm just gonna say, good luck. Good luck to them. I can't say anything. I was married at 19.
Yes, you
Mine
were.
didn't work out so well, but some people do.
It worked out for some years.
All right, let's move on. Now let's talk about She the People, which we know is executive produced and I'm sure probably written and directed by Tyler Perry, starring Terry J. Vaughn and Joe Marie Patton. And this is about Mississippi's first black lieutenant governor. She's ready to make history, even though she has a kind of wild family and just kind of old school boss who doesn't necessarily quite understand things maybe the way she does.
He's of a different political persuasion.
Right. What are your thoughts on She the People, Ma? We saw a few
premature
episodes.
I only saw 5 or 6 episodes. I don't know how many episodes I saw, but I saw
see that.
Multiple episodes. Let me just say, first of all, absolutely, shout out, good to see Terry Vaughn.
Yeah.
Good to see Terry Vaughn in front of the camera, right? She's kept herself together, as she, always did, kept herself in very good shape. So that's good to see that. It's as Tyler Perry often is, not always, but often is, it's funny, it's crazy, it's ridiculous, it's different. It's imploring a lot of people, and it's very tongue-in-cheek, and at times it's outright nonsensical and silly, and that's what I'm going to say.
Okay, moving on. Oh no, I guess I should say my opinion on it. Listen, it was just very silly. I like Terry Vaughn. Haven't seen her recently. Joe Marie Patton is just kind of like over the top and it's just really ridiculous. It doesn't really make
Terry Vaughn's mom.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's not the worst sitcom I've seen, but it's just very mediocre. I'll go with that. I don't want to just.
And you will get a lot of laughs if you enjoy just really silly, lowbrow humor.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not
necessarily clever humor. Okay, you're not that, but you just have to enjoy silliness.
I would give it a high hooch. I'm not even going to go with a number, but
okay,
a high hooch.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go along with you on the high hooch part because it's just really crazy. But you just have to be in a mood that you just want to laugh at something silly. That's it.
Okay, moving on to a show that we have been covering, and that is Your Friends and Neighbors. I think the last episode was episode 8. And, I like Jon Hamm a lot. And I'm kind of mixed on the entire trajectory of the show. The concept of a wealthy man losing it all and going back and, stealing from his neighbors is kind of funny, kind of unique. But there's so many different holes within this story that, give me, just kind of like frustrate me. His wife still appears to be in love with him, even though she cheated on him in a very, very blatant and disrespectful way in their home. And he seems to still have feelings for his wife, but his wife is living in, it looks like still their home, because he said this was my home, and she is with a man of means. So why would she, when she cheated on him, why would she still be there? They're very judgmental and don't really respect Jon Hamm at all. And Jon Hamm didn't seem to really be disrespectful to his wife. Maybe he was more focused on his work, but he didn't seem to never fall out of love with her and not, really care about his children. So I feel like they didn't respect him much. Mm-hmm. I feel like Jon Hamm is making very stupid decisions overall now, since he's lost his job. I don't like Olivia Munn's character, Sam, who he, has been sleeping with. Yeah. She doesn't seem to, she believes that Jon Hamm killed her husband. And why? Why would she believe that?
Right.
And just a couple of things in there. And I think that the maid, Elena, did she steal the money from Jon Hamm?
I'm not sure.
I think she may have stolen the money to give it to the people who were trying to do something to her brother, right?
Maybe.
I think who were threatening her brother.
I guess. I he's so. in hot for $150K, so right. I don't know what, I'm not really sure. They didn't really divulge that yet.
I think that.
But it looks like it may go that way. I don't know.
And I thought the fight with Mel, the ex-wife, and Sam, that was really stupid at the coffee shop.
Yeah, the public fight.
I don't know. Go ahead, Mel. Yeah. I just kind of went
I would just like to say, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. Yeah. I'm not necessarily ever trying to make sense out of anything I watch. Okay? I'm not necessarily trying to make sense. I think that's a, waste of time and futile most of the time. Mm-hmm. I'm not necessarily trying to make sense because I figure everything that's scripted is scripted. Mm-hmm. Even what's not supposed to be scripted is edited and scripted. So I never necessarily try to make sense, or if I do, only for a couple of minutes. I don't spend too much time on trying to make sense of it because it's all for ratings and viewership and so on and so forth. What I think they're doing with Jon Hamm is equivalent to, I don't know if you want to, this is like a kind of a sexual term, but cuckold. I think he's being, that's, if I'm spelling it right, CUCKOLD, cuckold. Person viewing their mate having sex with somebody, a cuckold. Mm-hmm.
You remember the Diddy case? Alleged.
I didn't even know that had anything to do with Diddy. I'm just using it as a term, as we would use the term voyeurism. I'm off Diddy. Please, let's put a period on that so people don't confuse what I'm saying that have anything to do with Diddy. No, I just want to make the point clear. What I'm saying is that they're taking the balls, the metaphorical balls off Jon Hamm and making him look like a man who just gets some kind of gratification from seeing his wife with another man, even though he's not actually seeing them have sex.
He did.
Yeah. Well, no, he walked in on that. No, a cuckold is encouraging that and getting it. No, but that's how they're making him seem, because he continues with the same friend group, and the wife and the boyfriend or whatever is always there. Mm-hmm. He did start out. He was introduced to them with the wife having sex in their bed. Mm-hmm. With the boyfriend. So. And he continues to put himself in that position, and he's not getting any kind of respect. So they're making him almost like a eunuch. Maybe you want to look at it like that. but cuckold is a better word because that's the role that they have John Hamm playing.
Okay.
And it's not a role that John Hamm is actually suited for because he is a very handsome, virile, attractive man. So he would not normally be in that kind of position.
Right.
You know, and we're not accustomed to seeing him in that kind of position. Okay. So I don't particularly like that part of it. And as you say, it doesn't particularly make sense. You know, the way they have everything structured, it doesn't necessarily make sense for a character like John Hamm.
I understand.
So that's all I have to say.
No, I'm with you in everything you said.
Is it fairly entertaining and interesting? Yes.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I don't have anything to add to that. I do want to bring up Mobland. We will talk more about Mobland on the next episode because Mobland, I feel, is is better. I feel that just in general, all the characters are really interesting. Even if you don't like them, you want to know what happens to them. And while things may not make sense, they kind of do make sense. You know, like we understand the motivation for pretty much all of the characters. And I would highly recommend you watch Mobland. We'll talk more about that on the next episode. Moving on, Duster, which is a new series that is from J.J. Abrams, and I think her name is, Latoya Morgan, who was one of the writers on, oh gosh, I can't remember, but anyway.
Is that Duster?
On Duster, right. Yes.
Okay.
One of the Parenthood. Parenthood is, like, she was like a major writer. In episode 1, which we haven't seen episode 2, you know, I thought was really, really, just kind of really good episode. It's kind of like retro. It kicks off with
the early 70s,
right? Like an American Southwest, and there's like a lot of like soul music and different, you know, it kind of
great music, right?
It kind of reminds you of like Breaking Bad and Shaft, kind of like all into one. And we meet we meet Duster. And Duster is, I guess, like the driver who's working for, big crime boss. And, you know, we can tell that he's kind of old school, like he's been around for a minute. So we're kind of interested in him already. Even though we know he's bad, we still know that he's not as bad as the people that he's working for. And that he has a heart because we see how he is with his little niece.
Correct.
So I think
niece,
that's
AKA isn't that his daughter? Or is that really his niece?
I thought that was his
it's his niece. It was his sons. His brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
Okay. No.
So
I think you may be right.
You kind of drawn into that, and then we also meet a young, very petite FBI agent who is very smart. And kind of, you know, everything is against her. This is a time when people...
And what's her significance?
She's black.
Yeah, and female.
And female.
She's
black.
Oh, I don't know.
I said the female part. Maybe I didn't say black.
Okay.
The black part.
But she's a couple of firsts going on there.
Yeah,
right.
And she seems to be very intelligent, very, what do I want to say, fearless. And she's just very clever. And, you know, she's very interesting. You know, and everybody is kind of against her except for maybe her co-worker, her partner, the Native American guy.
Because he is Native, right?
And people discriminate against him.
Yes.
And it's just...
And he's good.
He's good,
yes.
And it's interesting to see them, you know, kind of work together and navigate things. Well, go ahead. You can talk more about
that. I agree. I'm not, chomping at the bit to chime in. I agree with everything you said. So far, it's very well written. And of course, she comes in, everybody is, discriminating against her, or most people. But she does have a couple of allies, and she's very smart, and she's very tenacious. And she also has a vested interest because of her own family history, which is another piece that makes her even more determined.
Right.
And she's very good. They're doing everything to put roadblocks to prevent her from making progress in the case that she's working on. and they even want to take her off it and send her away and transfer her to some place that she doesn't want to be.
Right.
And she continues. She's very tenacious. She continues to work on the case, and she's making excellent progress. It's her with her co-workers, along with her peers, and it's very good. And she's also able to turn a person whom they never thought they'd be able to turn into an ally or an asset, and which is really interesting to see how that happens. So it's really, so far, well written and well acted.
Oh, for sure. Okay, I give it top shelf. We got to see some more.
I do too. I'm chiming in with you with the top shelf. I'm giving it between an 8.5 and a 9.
You and me both.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Hacks. Not a whole lot to talk about except a really major, I guess. This was the penultimate episode for the season. Just kind of a major thing that happened, which was Deborah kind of risked everything for Ava. The head of the studio, which is played by Tony Goldwyn, came in and said that I'm going to need you to get rid of Ava. Because, you know, Ava sometimes is always stepping into things too much. I forgot exactly what she did that, you know, caused the issue. But they want her gone, at least the studio. And Deborah doesn't feel that Ava should go because Ava is a big part of the show with writing and everything about it. You know, she is in support of Ava. And so we don't know until, like, towards the end of the episode whether Deborah is actually going to let Ava go or not. It seems like she's going to let her go the way they're trying to slant things, and then she decides that, no, I'm not going to let people blackmail me and make me do something I don't want to do.
Right.
This was my dream. I had my dream, and if this isn't for me, I'm not going to fire my friend.
Wonderful.
And that's what she did.
Right. Very altruistic of her. However, we know that's out of character for Deborah. Here's what I want to say. I don't know what the writers are going to do. I have not seen the final episode for the season yet.
It hasn't aired yet.
Well, I know that. What I'm saying is that I would like to see the writers. It's been all about Deborah and Ava. I understand that. I want to see the writers go in on Deborah's very, very, very tumultuous relationship with her daughter.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like it. I understand she spends a lot of time with Deborah because Ava, because Ava is her partner, co-worker, ally, whatever you want to call her.
Surrogate daughter.
But see, I don't like that.
Or granddaughter.
I don't like that. And I don't like that. It would be daughter in her case. I don't like that because she has a daughter and a grandchild, and I want to see more focus on that, whether they give them airtime or whether these things happen off air or whatever. I would like to see her address that relationship.
I agree.
A bit more. I'm not happy with that part.
I agree.
And I really was saddened when the daughter said she wanted Ava to stay with her mother because she has a rapport because Ava and Deborah they don't necessarily, they're hot and cold, but overall I think they really like each other or love each other.
They love each other at this point, for sure.
I don't like it that we are,
because they see a lot in each other, like of similarities.
Yes. Yeah. But guess what? I don't like it that you can't say it about your own daughter. Well, I'm not sure what's going on with that.
I don't know.
You know, you go to your grandchild's christening or whatever term you use for it, and you carrying on, turn it into a comedy skit.
Yeah.
You know, no, not funny. You know your daughter's trying to do something different. You don't have to agree with it. It doesn't matter if you agree with it or not. Your daughter invited you and you are there to be a part of it and be supportive. I don't like that relationship at all. She's only got one child and she should not be failing at that relationship, in my opinion.
I agree.
So
I agree. I still really like Hacks, but that was a really
I do too. I like it.
Now, we have to talk about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and we know this is starring our man. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna say our man, but Tom Cruise, and in it, there's so many different returning players. We have Grace, played by Hallie Atwell, and she is a former thief turned ally. Ving Rhames returns as Luther, and he's like the OG tech genius. Simon Pegg, is also like a brilliant field tech agent. Gabriel, played by Asai Morales, and he's the assassin from Ethan's past.
Okay.
And you want to take the shot? Is that what you want to do?
Yes.
Okay, let's take the final shot. We still have one more thing, but this is
okay.
Major. Ready?
We'll make this next to the final shot.
Next to, yeah. Okay. And then we have in Paris, well, I guess her name is Paris. Remember Palm Clementif? She's a former assassin that was betrayed by Gabriel, and she, now is working with them, with Ethan's people. There's many different. Angela Bassett. Now she's a president. She was the former CIA director. So many different people. Nick Offerman. He's a chairman of the Joint Chiefs. We have Hannah Waddingham from Ted Lasso, and she's the commanding carrier Strike Group 10, plays an admiral. And then we have our guy from Severance, who is Captain Jack Bledsoe, and he was really good in it. I liked his role.
Okay.
He was actually, a hero. He was actually like a good guy in this one.
Okay.
And it was good. It was very likable.
Oh, yeah.
Good. So,
okay.
I'm going to start off and say it was enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't as good as part one, to me. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was too long. I thought there were lulls. I thought the action scenes were really cool. I thought the plot was kind of silly with the entity and the AI and but overall, I enjoyed it. But is it the best Mission Impossible? To me, no.
Okay.
Nowhere. No
Okay.
way.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a premium 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's my notes, okay? I don't usually make notes, but the movie was just all over the place and very long. Mm-hmm. So here's what I thought was noteworthy. Tom is terrific.
Okay.
Fast, fit, handsome, heroic, resourceful.
He looks better now in his 60s or 80s.
I co-sign on that. Resourceful, charismatic, strong, smart, heroic, and loyal.
Yeah.
That's on Tom. Kudos to Angela Bassett as Madam President.
Okay.
And to Ving Rhames, as he always is, the voice. To me, that's who he is, the voice.
Okay.
Good cast overall. Okay.
What do you give it?
As always,
the
mission to save the world was successful.
Okay.
Okay. And I gave it an 8.
So you gave it a top shelf 8.
I gave it a low top shelf.
Okay. I gave it a mid to the upper premium, just because I like the first part of this better. The first part of it, I gave it a top shelf. I felt like it was some gaps in between there, but it was still very enjoyable.
Okay.
And I thought the cast,
I looked at it as a standalone because...
Well, it wasn't, because it said part 2.
Well, I understand that, but I looked at it as a standalone based on its own strength, based on its own merit, instead of part of an ongoing series, because I could take it back to the...
No, but this was part 2 of the last one.
I understand that.
Okay.
I understand that.
Okay, so I'll leave it alone. My bad.
See, I can go all in.
I know you can go all in. I know.
Okay.
You can go to the history of Mission Impossible.
Okay,
so part 2.
Okay. Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Okay, and that's how I rated it. That's how I felt about it.
Good. We're not that far off, but you liked it more than I did.
It doesn't matter. Okay.
The parts that you saw. Okay. Either way, we recommend.
If you're serving a meal, and am I supposed to compare the appetizer to the entree, even though it's all part of the same meal? The appetizer could have been delicious. The entree could have sucked. don't they get different grades?
No.
Even though they're all part of the... Oh, well, then that's weird.
Well, no, because it's not the appetizer to me.
No, well,
that's what you...
Well, no, I'm just saying
okay, so,
all part of the
so
same.
Godfather Part 1 and Godfather Part 2, don't you compare them to each other?
Not when I'm rating them, because they get different grades. I can say one is better than the other, but they get different grades. Well, yes and no, but they get different grades. I can eat the appetizer and not even eat the entree and still enjoy it.
Okay.
As a good appetizer or a bad appetizer. So yes and no. Yes and no. What you say has some merit. Yes and no. That's how I feel. Yes and no.
Okay. That all good, Ma.
Let's agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And finally, Ma, we can take the final shot for this because we're gonna kind of let people know whether or not we recommend a new reality TV show that just came out. All right. Sneaky Links. Dating After Dark. Now, this is a show where singles who have been in casual relationships that most people, especially, well, I used to think was Gen Z, but Jada Pinkett is definitely not in Gen Z or millennial situationships, check into a motel together. And
Jada Pinkett.
Remember she mentioned situationships? That was the first time that I'd heard of it.
That term, okay.
Right, and she's of a different generation than me, and I'm a millennial, and so that's all I was just saying. Anyway, so to make a long story short, the twist is that the sneaky links are also invited, creating an environment where they must decide if they want to strengthen existing connections or explore new ones. And the host is the woman that was on Too Hot to Handle. She was also on The Circle, and she has a good personality, but that's not neither here nor there. So, Ma, what are your ratings for this? Do you give this a top shelf, a premium, or a hooch?
I'm about to give it a hooch.
Okay.
I don't like to judge so harshly because I've only seen 3 or 4 episodes. It's getting a hooch from me.
Okay.
And I'll give it a 5.
Okay.
Simply because it's just a big ripoff and it's not done as well.
Okay.
Half of the people on these the Love Island franchises and so forth, a lot of them have known each other before and meet up or whatever. That isn't the goal or the theme of the show, but it happens. It happens almost in every one of them.
Right.
Somewhere along the line. And so that part is certainly not original, and they didn't put enough of a variation on the same theme. They're having people come in. The only thing they do, which I think is good, which is why it even gets to like a 5, is because the judges sort of determine who's going to leave, or the hostess, or whatever. They determine, which cuts down on a lot of problems among the participants. And they don't have to be bad. Oh, you voted me out, or you did this, or you did. Oh, how could you do that? It cuts down on that type of negative energy, which is worth something. Okay? But everything else about it, and I don't like how they're going to decide who's going to go into the room where they have private time, where they're able to have sex together. I do like it that they have separate rooms. That's good, because that gives them time to think and, whatever. That part is good, but at the same time, they can be together if they want to, So that part is fine to me. That's the way I think it kind of flows more naturally. But when they just kind of, I don't know if they randomly chose people or they just chose people who seemed like they just were lusting each other.
Right.
And they had not really built any type of relationship together or spent any. To me, it would have been nicer if they would have had them go on a real date.
Right.
And talk and everything. And then maybe the room where they could, get together and get their thing going, whatever,
Right, I'm with you on that.
I don't like the way the hostesses, because it's really two females, hostess, right?
Yes.
I don't like the way they just said, okay, you so-and-so and so-and-so go to the room.
I didn't think that like that either.
I'm not really sure, because in a way, that just sort of, it may put pressure on people. Maybe they're reading wrong, what's going on between the people. I just wasn't feeling that piece of it at all. I think it should have been more of a decision that was based on some history together,
right,
more than they had.
Right.
It just struck me as odd.
Right.
The way they choose for people to leave may be a little more legitimate because it's based on lack of connection to anyone else there.
Right.
That may be legit. If you aren't connected with anyone else there, and you can't all stay, you got to switch out people.
Right.
Okay, so you kind of know that already, and you have a finite amount of time to do that. And if within that time frame you haven't done that, it's legit to switch people out.
Well, listen,
I think.
Listen, I the whole concept to me is very flawed. I don't like the name Sneaky Links. I think that
nor do I. I do not like negative names.
Right.
I don't like negative titles at all.
And I don't even really relate to that. Is that something that what group is saying that? Like,
right.
Right.
So
maybe
already,
it's an American thing, is it?
So we know already that it's a phrase that's used in the UK somewhere.
Right.
We already kind of know that. That's not a term that is common among Americans, certainly not.
No.
I don't know about other countries, but not in the US.
So something like that kind of worries me a little bit. Not worries me, but I'm just kind of like, I already kind of like, there's parts of it that's
I'm more concerned that it's negative than I am that it's maybe British or whatever the hell. The negativity, I wouldn't care if it was British if it was a more popular, uplifting kind of name.
Right.
But that is British and it's it's like a double negative.
Yeah.
In a way.
And
when you want something that should be universally appealing.
And then I'm seeing some people, some women in particular who are just really completely bugged in many different ways. Like I don't know if it's Angelique or if that's her name, one of the characters. She is forgetting, and I don't care. Like, this is something that you have to remember. Okay, how old you are, whatever. And I feel that I'm a sex positive person, however you want to say. You have to separate sex from love. I don't care who you are. You have to understand that those are two different things.
And guess what? It always is, irrespective to gender, race, age, everything. You're dead on. It always is.
And people want to say, and they don't understand, like, oh, I can have sex. Yeah, you can have sex with whoever you want to have sex with, but remember that because you may think that you have feelings and have sex with a person, it doesn't mean that they're going to start to have feelings for you after you have sex. I think that's the thing that people forget. It doesn't mean that as an adult, a young person, middle-aged person, old person, you go and have sex with somebody that they're going to all of a sudden have feelings for you. And I think that people forget that. And that's what like one woman in particular seems to not understand that.
You don't want to call her name?
I think it's Angelique.
Yeah. Angelique.
And I'm
it's Angelique.
To her.
Because you may love the person that you have sex with, but you don't have to love the person you have sex with.
Right.
And people listen, men are better at separating that than women.
Normally.
Usually.
Yes.
Usually.
Yes.
That's right. Usually. Sometimes not, but usually. But at no time should the two things be conflated.
Right. And so that worries me because no matter because it's every time, every generation. Oh, and she's not that young she should understand
What
that.
is she, 29?
She's 29,
30,
right?
something?
At that point, she should understand that. If she was 19 or 20, I'd be like,
Did goofy.
yeah,
Right.
But at 29, 30, you know,
she should
you know better.
she should have had enough experience with relationships, to know that. And if I recall correctly, I believe it was Angelique who was there saying how she was cheated on so much and it hurt her so much and this and that. What was going on? What was your behavior?
Right.
What was going on with you? And why were you cheated on so much? Because at some point, you had the freedom to walk away.
Right.
What do you mean so much? Right. That was up to you. And
you don't have to stay and be
And what you mean cheated on? You were in high school. What was the level of commitment?
Right.
What the hell was the commitment in high school?
Right.
To me, that's no commitment. To me, that's a time
you didn't even need to be having sex.
That's either experience or mistakes.
Right.
Boom. That's what it is.
To me, I'm just calling out. You don't need to be having sex in high school.
And if you do, like I said, it's experience or mistakes. What commitment? Commitment to what? In high school, and that's what she referenced. She said specifically, in high school, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. What you mean? What commitment in high school?
But that's why you don't have sex in high school, because your mind.
But she's going beyond that.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we know she went beyond that. So, and that's what I'm saying. What did you do? You're talking about how somebody treated you. How did you treat yourself?
So I'm gonna say, because Sneaky Leaks, like I'm watching it and still interested in what happens, but as far as like an overall concept, I think it's a hooch. Entertainment wise, a low premium. Yeah. But just as like, I'm coming up with a reality show, not very clever.
I agree with you 1,000%. I agree with you 1,000%. I'm looking at what are the goals, what is the theme, just exactly what is it that you're offering that's different, unusual, or done better than any of the multiple shows that I will compare you to.
Right.
Love is Blind, hell no, you're nowhere near it, not even on the level. Because Love is Blind, in theory, is wonderful. In theory, it's very good in terms of you spend. Absolutely.
And it's well done.
Absolutely. Because you spend your initial introduction getting to talk, getting to know each other. And that's a wonderful thing. And then you can see whatever from there. If something or nothing. Love Island, they dress cuter. They're more open. They spend more time together. They have better activities.
6 months. I'm not 6 months. I'm sorry. 6 to 8 weeks, depending on which one.
Have better activity. They, have time to develop rapport among the entire group. So, beautiful places, beautiful everything. So you can forget that. You're not on that level.
Married at First Sight. And Married at First Sight.
That's a whole other show. That's a whole other thing.
They need help, but the intention is better.
Right. The focus is totally different.
Now, I will say that Too Hot to Handle started off with a decent concept, but went rogue.
Too Hot to Handle, I've only seen a couple episodes because I just thought it was just way
it's on a level of Sneaky Leaks.
Right.
It is.
Way too wretched that I just, wasn't even feeling it. No.
3 things that made you smile.
I'm going to give you 4 things, starting with family.
Okay.
Family number 1. And thank you, daughter and son-in-law. I've had a fabulous time out yesterday. It was just marvelous. Well, many fabulous times, but I'm just, talking currently,
Oh, yeah.
A fabulous time out. The sun, the stars, the moon. Those are the 3 things that nature gives us that makes me smile every day. The sun, the stars, the moon. Because guess what? You're going to see one of them pretty much every day. And if you're fortunate enough to see them, beautiful.
Okay. I love hearing that. I'm going to start off with family as well. I'm going to continue with friends and then sports. Let's see. We will be back again with a brand new episode on Thursday. We appreciate all your support, guys. We are trying to decide on what reality show we're going to cover. We'll be covering one soon because it's getting into the summer season and there's more reality shows. We will be talking about Love Island, but I think we'll cover Love Island on our regular show.
Okay.
Besides that, guys, Ma, is there anything you want to say before we go?
Everyone continue to enjoy your holiday weekend. And hey, this is the first unofficial holiday of the summer, okay? Because we know we're not really at summer yet.
Almost.
But we're, 3 weeks away, something like that?
Mm-hmm.
3-4 weeks away.
Yep.
So everyone, please do what you're doing in moderation. No drinking and drugging and driving. Let somebody be the designated driver. Or guess what? Stay where you are. Spend the night where you are. You'll be all right. One thing about it, you'll be safe. Please, guys, don't overindulge. Have fun. Don't overindulge. Stay safe.
Thank you, guys. As always, continue to support us on whatever your preferred platform is, at the Bamgboshe Happy Hour, and also All Things Space U on our YouTube channel, which is the home of the Bamgboshe Happy Hour. We'll be back again on Thursday. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Bye. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and check out full episodes of the Bamgboshe Happy Hour podcast, streaming on most platforms.